What's happening, people? Welcome back to Park Lane Podcast, episode 69. Oh, we all thought we'd have a little laugh at that. Anyway, my name's Luke. You all know that already. This week, I am joined by two brilliant co-hosts. Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Good to be back talking Tottenham. Not the result we wanted, but looking forward to getting into it.
Exactly, and it's the long-awaited return of Wynnie. Happy New Year, Wynnie. How you doing?
Happy New Year, yeah. Merry Christmas. What else have I missed?
Mate.
No, it's good. It's good to be back, mate. It's good to be back. Hopefully, everyone's missed me. So we'll see. I'm sure the chat will let me know. But yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back, and unfortunately, it's not for a good return in terms of Tottenham. But there we go.
No, exactly. Talking about the chat, get your love for Wynnie in there, and I'll read through some of your comments as well. Thomas was super early this morning at 8:32 a.m. He said evening. So evening, Thomas. Jay was nice and early. Evening Park Lane Podcast. Looking forward to the show. As always, my 3-word for today, cheats, cheats, cheats. Barney has said, evening to you all. Looking forward to this. As always, big up. And we've got Jay, even Scarfy and Wynnie. Not to me. Thanks a lot. And Barney said, evening Luke, Harry and Wynnie. And Thomas just said, big up. Wynnie, so as the boys said, we're going to dissect everything that went on Friday night, 1-0 loss in the FA Cup to Manchester City, and get everyone's thoughts about how we played, because, everyone's got differentiating opinions on this. So let's start off, Wynnie, I'll come directly to you. Let's talk about the team news. How did you feel about the starting 11 Andrew went with? He's been criticised in the past for not playing the strongest 11 in the Cups, so he pretty much went for the strongest 11. Decky was back in the number 10 role. James Maddison on the bench. When you see that lineup, what do you think of it?
Yeah, like you say, it was our strongest possible 11, bar obviously Madders. But if I'm honest, it was full strength. But I thought he might have put Dragusin in there, because obviously, I know it's an important game, but rotation with the game again on Wednesday, I thought he might have chucked him in there. But I wasn't that surprised to see Van der Ven and Romero, in the centre back positions. But look, my only little bit of an issue that I have with it is, if Madders is fit for the bench, he's fit to start, in my opinion. And I think I was a little disappointed to not see him in there. But obviously, we saw, I'm sure you've all seen on social media, the video of Madders when he was back in training. But then obviously there was that one with that video with Pedro Porro where he had that thing on his ankle still. So maybe his injury is still a bit of a concern. But yeah, so as you say, it was as strong as we could have gone. And even our bench looked, it didn't look amazing, but also it didn't look as weak as just having a load of youth players on there. So it was okay. I wasn't too concerned when I saw the lineup anyway.
Yeah, and H, you were at the game. When you arrived and you sat down, you got ready for the game, saw Maddison on the bench. Do you agree with Wynnie? Like, you'd like to see Dragusin at centre back? Because this lad has come in January. He needs to get a game at some point. But obviously, FA Cup against Man City, Andrew gets pelters whatever he does, right? For this, if he picks the best team, we lose. He gets pelters if he doesn't pick a good team and we lose. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
I get that. I think a bit of common sense would say Tottenham haven't won a major trophy in 15 years to go full strength. But obviously, you look at Dragusin and go, 21, but massively ahead of where he should be. He needs minutes at some point. I wouldn't have been against that. Maddison, I think we saw his performance, for me anyway, when he came on the pitch. This is a player that, for me, isn't ready. You talked about him being the worst injury of his career. I was with Wynnie. I was going, the way he'd kind of hyped it up all week, I was thinking, he's going to start. But when he came off the bench, I looked back at it after, and I was frustrated at the time and thought, he wasn't that effective, and he was scared to put in that pass. He was avoiding having the ball as much as possible. There's times where, because he was close to us, where he's going, don't pass to me. And that is always slightly concerning from a player of his quality. So yeah, the lineup was pretty much what I expected. It's good enough to go toe-to-toe with the team that City put out. I know we're going to get onto it. There's no shame in getting knocked out by Manchester City. It's just the fact that the team they put out, I think, being honest with you, ours was as good as, if not stronger. So that's the frustrating thing. But yeah, team selection is pretty what I expected.
Yeah, definitely. I'll come back to you again, H, and talk about 5 minutes into the game because it started, kind of as we didn't want it to start. Really, 5 minutes in, Oscar Bob scores. It did get ruled out for offside, but it was close, and I had feelings that it wasn't going to get ruled out because weirdly on the telly, because you were at the game, but on the
Yeah.
they didn't show them like checking or like the line. When they get the lines out and they start drawing all the lines, and you can see and you can go, this is definitely offside. I can tell. They didn't do any of that on TV, so it was just literally replays after replay.
Yeah.
So nothing like that. What were your thoughts in the stadium?
Well, it was mixed views, to be honest with you. But from myself and people around me, because it was obviously our end, it looked like he went really early and he was trying to get back, and it was like that's offside. So I wasn't too worried. Some people were obviously frustrated in and around us, but I was like, I think it did. It wasn't borderline kind of thing. It wasn't clear cut, but we knew it would be close. But luckily, it was offside. But the warning sign was there straight away. That what City possessed without docking De Bruyne, who I would argue they're two best attacking players. So the threat was there all night. They thought they got the goal early. I was like, oh, here we go, perfect start. But luckily it was ruled out. But yeah, tight one for sure. It was, although I thought it was offside. Part of me was like, the longer, because it went on for a while, and the guys next to me like, you sure? I was like, I'm pretty sure he didn't get back in time, but this is taking a while. So just thank goodness it was disallowed.
Yeah, he was offside by about half a foot, I think, in the end. So it was actually pretty close. But Winnie, the game started pretty frantic, didn't it? Quite fast paced, and from Spurs, quite a lot of misplaced passes, and I just don't understand why in a game like this, in an FA Cup game, why there isn't any kind of it doesn't have to be a complete alteration of your tactic. It just has to be, a slightly slower approach play. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that part? Because I felt like all we did was just give the ball away. Let's talk opening 10 minutes at least. It happened 90 minutes long. But I mean, for the first 10 minutes, all we did was just give the ball away.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating start, I must admit. It was, and let's be honest, if we were playing a team that wasn't Man City, we may have got away with it a bit more, but Man City are that good. But they probably, they didn't really have to do too much. As you say, we were just giving the ball away. Do you know what? Usually I'd be with you and I'd say, look, okay, you adapt your formation, your tactics, etc. For different teams because they're going to bring, different challenges. But
yeah.
I think it's quite refreshing. I'm going to be honest. This whole Ange philosophy where it's whoever it is, whatever it is, we do the same thing. We don't change because I think with repetition, the more you do it, if you do the same thing every single game, it's going to bring. It's not maybe not success, but it's going to bring some kind of consistency, some kind of results. Do you know what I mean? And yes, it is Man City. I get that, but. And there's almost like an air of we're not scared of you if we continue to play the same way we do, which is keeping the ball at the back, come and get the ball off us kind of thing. It's like showing Man City that we're not scared of them. But look, we're talking about Man City, who I'll put it out there. That's probably the best I've seen Man City play in a very, very long time. I thought they were very, very good against us. But like you say, it probably didn't help that we kept giving the ball away to them. But as that's Ange's tactics and Ange's philosophy. And if we want to do that every game, I'm all for it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And Harry, do you think we're naive for not moving away from, as I said, I want to make it very clear. I'm not suggesting that we need to completely retransform how Ange plays football. I just think that there has to be an incredibly small tweak to it that can just be, do you know what? We'll go half a second quicker than we're playing. We'll try and retain the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Winnie, but I'm not going to disagree with you here. I get what you mean in terms of consistency, of course. It's going to help the team, the understanding where we saw Mourinho and Conte, the team was chopping and changing. They didn't know if they're coming or going, attacking or defending, and that was the main problem, big up Callum. Whereas we know what we're getting with the Postecoglou team. However, for me, that makes it more predictable. City, and I was discussing it in the way, City, Pep Guardiola is not stupid. He knows the way we play. And I was looking, I've said it for a little while, but I was thinking, if you stop the fullbacks from creating and advancing, you stop those inverted fullbacks and you stop Tottenham Hotspur from getting any really clear-cut chances and probably putting the ball in the back of the net. And that ultimately was the problem. And, Luke, going back to what you said, when there was the pass available, we just didn't, for example, to Werner, the amount of runs he made away. Kyle Walker, I mean, sure, he would have got back with his pace, maybe, but he left Werner a lot of space, which I didn't expect. We just didn't exploit it. So, yeah, we should have changed our tactics. I think, personally, looking back on it, ball over the top, Timo Werner, ball over the top, Brennan Johnson, we could have been in a lot more. I'm not saying we have to go 11 men behind the ball, but I don't know why we're trying to play through Manchester City. We're talking about City here. It's not going to work. And listen, you have days that we had Friday night where our passes are not just at it. So in that case, you put it in the air, you give Werner something to run onto. Some will say hit and hope, but I think it's just a different, change of tactics. Stop trying to play it to the fullbacks when they're being marked man to man, and there's nowhere to go. It just didn't work, and we knew after 10 minutes in that. Actually, as soon as City got that goal in that 5th minute, that they got it from where we lost the ball from the fullbacks, trying to play out to the fullbacks, and they realised that you get tight to the fullbacks and they can't turn. Having said that, I think the doggy was probably one of the best, if not the best player on the pitch. He coped with that, defensively sound, but going forward, he struggled because he was up against pretty much 2v1 at times, so he really struggled. So, yeah, there was a change in tactic needed, and I think that we suffered that on Friday. However, that team, for me, should go out and be able to score, but what do I know?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because there were moments in the game where we did play balls over the top. I do remember Christian Romero making, at least 1 or 2 long, passes over the top to try and play in the likes of Werner, etc. But you're right. I felt like Kulusevski at times was really, really good. He was really strong. He was comfortable on the ball. But then he would make these... Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting to. Then he wouldn't make that pass. Like, I can see very clearly he's got the ball on the left-hand side. He shoulders off a player. Timo Werner makes a run, and it's just an outside of the foot pass, something that he could probably quite easily do. Not easy for probably one of us to do, but you can see it. And I just think, why were those balls not played, because that comes to really my next question, which was about Timo Werner. What did you make of him in the first half? I felt like City had a really, really high line, but we just didn't seem to want to find him. What do you put that down to?
I mean, it's just like, what you alluded to there. Kulusevski got in some great positions, and as you say, he really, really worked well. And I think this is my main concern with him, being in that like kind of like attacking mid position, whichever way you want to kind of put it, where he plays when he puts into midfield, is his close control is exceptional. He's very strong. He's got everything about him, but then I just don't think he's got that creative spark. And again, obviously people may disagree with that, but I just don't think he's like a Maddison, Christian Eriksen-esque final ball. Harry Kane was able to do it as well when he dropped in that position. And that's my kind of issue with him. He's like a ball carrier. And as a centre midfielder, I think you don't really need to be a ball carrier, because your idea is to get the ball in that advanced position, turn, and then find space and get someone in behind, etc., or have a shot from distance. He would be able to do, but I think as soon as Madders comes back, I'd be I would be pushing him back out wide, because for me he had a good stint in midfield, and he's done well, but I don't think he's been as creative as we need him to be. But touching on Werner, I think he would have been very, very disappointed, because he did what he needed to do, and that was make the runs in behind, because obviously City's line was incredibly high, like ours was as well. So there was so much space in behind, and a couple of times which we pointed out in Kulusevski and Udogie both had the opportunity to put him in behind, and they did take it. So I think he'll be a very frustrated figure, Werner, and I think hopefully when we've got the likes of Madders back, we'll be able to find those balls in behind, and maybe we'll be able to see a bit more what Werner can do in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of goes back to what Harry was saying a little bit. I was just thinking then when you were talking about it, I was thinking, you don't have to change Ange's system much, right? So you play with 2 wide wingers and then 2 inverted fullbacks. Why can you not do a switch of that and do wide fullbacks and inverted wingers, where Timo Werner and Brennan Johnson are making those
stretch the narrow,
that are going from wide to in, for balls, from the likes of Kulusevski or even over the top from Christian Romero. And then you've got, because with Richarlison picking up the ball, he's not going to run in behind, right? When Son's playing there, maybe he will. But you have Richarlison dropping back, and then the 2 wingers kind of going inverted. Anyway, we're kind of going tactics masterclass here, but it doesn't have to change much in Ange's system, and it kind of suits everyone. Then it kind of gives Harry your thoughts about changing it a little bit, and then Wynnie let's keep this high tempo Ange ball going. It just little tweaks that mean that because at some point you feel like the system will get found out, right? If it's going to be the same every week, how it's gonna it's going to be done. But we'll find out. H, when you were sitting there at halftime having your nice little, what did you have to eat at halftime? Anything good?
No, I before the game actually. Well, I ordered a beef casserole, but I didn't really like it, so I went for sausage roll. So I ended up with quite a bit of food in the end. So I didn't really want anything. I think I had like a pack of 12 or something at half time. I was inside. Don't worry, it's too cold.
What are your thoughts at half time?
I was very frustrated because I went. Hang on a minute. Let's be real here. The City team that's out is combined between their first and second team. It's never going to be easy, but they're here for the taking. We haven't laid a glove on them. We haven't a shot in the first half. And I remember people moaning under Conte. I know we're playing a lot better now, and I don't even want to make the comparison, but we were all moaning, myself including, we didn't have a shot on target pretty regular under Conte. I was like, hang on a minute, that's not even a shot. It looked good. It didn't, I don't know. It's something wrong with it, but maybe it's just me. But no, it's frustrating first half because I was like, fun and the amount of runs. He looked fresh. I mean, you can't really tell because he didn't get the ball much, but he looked ready and raring to go. But then he didn't get the ball for so long when he did. His first touch was awful. And what I will say, Luke, is it's good and bad things about what I'm going to say. We have a lot of impact players in this team. I look at Brennan Johnson, Werner, even as much as I like him to an extent, Richarlison, and maybe even Kulusevski falls under that bracket where you go, they're really good to change a game. They're just not the player you want, for me anyway, 90 minutes. You want to bring them on and completely change the game. So for me, I'm looking at someone like Johnson and Werner now, and I don't think they get in the starting 11 when everyone is fit. But I'm excited to use them as impact players. But overall, that first half, frustrating dominance from City. But very glad that at the time it was only 0-0 because I was like, if it wasn't for Van der Ven or a doggy, the game could have been out of sight. It felt like a battering, and I think that's the first time I've kind of felt that this season on Postecoglou. Chelsea dominated that first half, and I wouldn't call the second half a battering, which is a bit of luck, really. They eventually got it right with time in their runs. But that felt like a bit of annihilation, and you kind of expect that to an extent with City, but the fact you didn't have a shot, so it was a painful first half.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Appreciate that. Right, change the subject quickly. Jay has said, I want to hear from you guys. If I went to the Spurs stadium tour and I bought a white Tottenham shirt, what player should I get on the back? I already have Son, Maddison and Kulusevski. I was looking at Mickey, Dragusin or Johnson, and I have Bentancur. So we'll go one pick each. I'm going to go Van der Ven. I think that's a good shout. Wynnie, what are you going for? You going for Van der Ven as well?
Van der Ven, yeah. That's what I'd have.
Yeah. H?
I'll go with a doggy. I love Van der Ven, but a doggy's obviously remained fit the whole time. He's really impressed me, gone up and beyond. And even when the team doesn't play well, Manchester City, for me, a prime example. I mean, we defended well, but the majority of the game, we didn't lay a glove on City. A doggy still stood up, still looking to create. And the amount of times he's done that, even against Chelsea, he still looked good. So a doggy has a habit of doing that, so it'd be destiny for me.
So we've got two for a doggy. Two for Van der Ven and one for a doggy. And Thomas has said Park Lane podcast, get it on the shirt. Yeah, if you do, you need to get a picture and send it to us. We'd love that. Anyway, let's go back to the second half. I haven't written a lot of notes for the second half, to be honest, because I don't feel like a lot of action actually, apart bar obviously the goal. I don't think a lot of action happened. But Wynnie, I want to come to you and talk about Ange Postecoglou's substitutions and ask you a question. Does Ange make the right substitutions? He changed Bentancur for Oliver Skipp and Brennan Johnson for James Maddison. I felt like Bentancur was our most creative player in the midfield. I felt like he looked like he wanted it. He felt comfortable on the pitch. Was it the right decision taking Bentancur off at that time? Bear in mind, he just come back from his injury.
I'd probably say no, as you say, for the same reasons as that. You know, we're talking about Bentancur, who is probably our most talented player. Again, that's up for debate. Again, depending who you're talking to, but for me, he's one of our most influential players. And unless it's, I know he's come back from injury, but let's not. He has played since. It's not as if it's his first game back.
Yeah.
You keep those players on the pitch. If you want to win the game, you keep those players on unless there's a fatigue issue and etc. We don't really know the ins and outs. If there was a fatigue issue, that's fair enough. But I mean, let's be honest. It's like Bentancur for Skip. That's a bit of a shit sub, isn't it? Because as good as Skip has been when he's came off the bench, he's not someone who's going to change a game, and that's what we needed because we were drawing. So we needed the game to be changed, and unfortunately, Skippy ain't going to do that for us. So I'm not going to get on his back because, look, he knows a lot more than me. He's won trophies. I've won nothing. So, but they were a little bit underwhelming, I must admit. And obviously, Madders coming on I think it needed to be a bit sooner. I probably would have brought Madders on at half time, to be honest. But again, what do I know? But yeah, I'm not going to get on his back. But I do feel they were a little bit underwhelming, his subs, to be fair.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I feel like, when you need players to change a game and you go for Oliver Skip, you 0-0, you need a goal in the FA Cup, and you go for Oliver Skip rather than rather than having on the pitch Bentancur and James Maddison with behind them Højbjerg to sweep up and do whatever he needs to do. Just seemed a bit odd. I'd have probably gone for, if I was going to bring Skip, I'd have gone Skip for Højbjerg. Like for like substitution. I don't really feel like Bentancur and Oliver Skip are like for like subs, but that's just me. Talking about Højbjerg, actually, Harry, I want to talk to you because Winnie texted in the group chat and said he felt that this was one of Højbjerg's best games. I felt like he was absolute trash. So I'm just curious as to an advocate for sideways passing, what your thoughts were on Højbjerg.
Wow. Listen, I actually thought he was good, but then he had that couple of minutes of madness where I think he was frustrated at the time. I noticed it. It came from when he lost the ball, and I think that kind of rattled him slightly. He got it together in the end. Well, he didn't. He had to come off. But going back to the question you asked about Ange's subs, I was calling personally Skip to come on because every time City come forward, they look like they were going to score. So I look at Oliver Skip and go, I didn't really want him. And I'd already got to that stage where I was like, I can't see us winning this. I want to hold out to a replay and stay in it as long as we can. So I was already, it's just me. I watch a lot of football under Conte and Mourinho, right? To bring Skip on for Bentancur, I wasn't that, amazed by Bentancur, but when I said that to a few fans, they couldn't believe what I come out with. I didn't really stand out to me. I thought it was quite quiet generally, so I was calling for Skip to come on. Johnson, probably the right player to bring off, wasn't effective, but I don't know why Gill wasn't brought on. For me, Gill, whatever you think of, lives and breathes these kind of moments. You need a bit of magic. You need a bit of energy. I think we needed that, honestly. A little bit of energy in the middle of the park, a little bit of creativity, and I think Gill brings that. Drop of the shoulder, I think, would have caused Manchester City a few problems. If they had Rodri in there, you'd go, Rodri would sort Gill out, much more physical, but there was no Rodri. Gill could have, for me, thrived. But on Højbjerg, I thought he'd done well, but then he has that 2-minute madness. I'm like, what's that about? You're professional football. You're better than that. So he's been honest with you, I think he's been better. I think in the reverse, not reverse fixture, but when we played City at the Etihad, that was probably for me his best game, the best second half I've seen him. But he was good. I agree with Winnie. He was good. Apart from that.
In my defence, when I put it in the group chat, he had put a foot wrong. And then I think it's like commentator's curse. As soon as I put it in that group chat, he had a fucking stinker. So
you put it in the group chat, right? And I remember this directly. He booted the ball straight out, crossfield pass, straight out for a throw-in. Then he gave the ball away, didn't he, at the edge of the box, or slipped or something. And then he made a back pass that nearly left them in and De Bruyne missed. So he had a bit of a nightmare. But look, I don't think he was bad. I think 2 seconds. I think he was good in certain aspects of a game, which makes him a good player. I really struggle now to warm to him under this system. I always feel like it's like Eric Dyer playing in this system. I just feel like he's all right as a footballer, but it just doesn't.
He's an impact player for sure. He's an impact player in this system. He can do a job in this system, but off the bench.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Sorry, H.
No, it's just good. No, it's all right. I was just going to say that Højbjerg, personally, I would keep as a player when you want to see out a game. I think you need that. And however, he doesn't suit the system. And if we're going to keep, we don't change. Because, listen, I love the way you play under Ange, but ultimately, you can't play the same way you do Manchester City as the same you do Newport County. Do you know what I mean? They're two completely different teams, different calibre of teams. You have to adjust something. So for me, for that reason, I would keep Højbjerg around. However, I look at when we have a fully fit midfield, there's too many midfielders in there. So one of Højbjerg and Skip probably have to go. What I will say about Højbjerg is not one of this team can seem to be capable of a crossfield pass. I look at City. I know you point out Romero, but I looked at Romero and I went, no, he's not the player for me. Nowhere near the levels that Alderweireld can be. Alderweireld can put that crossfield pass. Romero's scared to do it for whatever reason. I looked at Bentancur. I'm going to let him off because he's just come back from injury. Same with Maddison falls under that bracket. You need someone for a crossfield pass. For me, I'm never afraid to do it. I mean, it's not that difficult, the ball over the top as well. If it's a little bit further, then it gives Werner to chase onto. If it's not far enough, it's still something. So for me, just literally to put the ball in behind it was playing right off it, and could have led to a goal. But Route 1, yeah, literally ball over the top, and that's the way I'll play the charity match, and that's why we will win. So.
Mate, if I could make it, it would be absolutely too funny. Too funny. I'll be absolutely knackered running up and down the pitch over hoofed balls from centre back.
Because we're going to make subs.
Anyway, talking about centre backs, because in the 87th minute, when we thought kind of this was going to end up being a replay, Nathan Ake goes and scores, makes it 1-0, and you think, that's it. But the real question is, was it a foul on the goalkeeper? Did Diaz foul Vicario? Now, I'm going to get my point out to get it out of the way. I think foul on Vicario. I think it's a foul on Vicario. I think it's a foul from. Do you remember the Burnley Luton game the other week? That's a foul on the goalkeeper. Like, goalkeepers are given
that one much, is
Goalkeepers are given too much. Like, not I don't want to use the word. Like shielded. They're shielded too much, right? Goalkeepers, and they can't be touched, otherwise it's a nightmare. The thing is, what happens is that Diaz goes backwards into Vicario. If that backwards motion doesn't happen, and now people will say, okay, Vicario needs to be stronger, but Diaz makes no effort to try and play the ball, and that's where I feel it's a foul, because the idea is to try and put the goalkeeper off and gain an advantage that way. It's not about gaining an advantage through trying to get the ball, and it just happens to be the goalkeeper doesn't come out and take his man. That's where I see it, but I do want to listen to both of your points as well. So let's go to H. Yeah, H, I'll hear from you first.
Being also the fans up, well, it wasn't our end, but generally people weren't happy. That's a foul, it's a foul. Not for me, not at the time, and not looking back at it. But however, what we'll say is this consistency rule after, and we know that the same thing will happen next week, and it'll be given as a foul. So that's the frustrating thing. I don't agree with the goalkeeper protection. So being honest, I look at that and go, I don't want it to be given as a foul. But like you said, you look at what has been given this season, and it's probably given as a foul. I get that. Vicario, for me, if you watch it back very closely, he's decided to go with the punch before there's any contact with Diaz. The contact is after he's made contact with the ball or moved towards the ball. So it's the wrong choice of Vicario, because you should be catching. If he's different, he goes to catch it and he falls over for me. So maybe Vicario's got to be a bit more clever in the way he kind of goes about it, but he wants to kind of get on with it. And also to punch it makes it really hard for himself, because he's choosing the hard option. It's not the first time he's done it this season. I love him, but for me, I look at that, it's weak goalkeeping, clever by Diaz. He won't get away with that next time, because as you said, there's no intent to play the ball. At the same time, Vicario has got to go just go like that, or fall on the floor, or make it clear to the referee before the ball's come in the box. There was contact before, then Diaz left him. And if you look at it, Vicario's made his mind up when the corner's come in, he's going to punch it. God knows why you punch it into the ground. Contact didn't help, but no, not a foul for me. Vicario didn't help himself. Weak goalkeeping, but goalkeepers should usually get that protection.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll agree with you on the catching bit, because he is I like to call him like a blockbuster goalkeeper, right? He likes to go for the action hero moment and try and do whatever for he's a bit of a kind of showstopper, kind of goalkeeper, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, you're right. If he goes to catch the ball and he gets two hands on the ball, and then that happens, the exact same thing happens, but he gets a foul, as you say, because of the punch. Potentially that's where he loses out. But Wynnie, what do you think on the matter?
Not a foul for me. I was watching the game. I was watching the game with my dad. My dad was absolutely screaming at the TV, like, "That's a foul! That's a foul! It's disgusting!" And I was literally, we were at a heated debate. Me and my dad. I was like, "That's not a foul." there is contact between the two before the ball's been kicked, which, you know, that happens. That happens every game. You don't have to get out of someone's way. However, when the ball's in play, I think if I watched it back again, which I did, as soon as that ball is kicked, I don't think Diaz does anything. I don't think he makes any attempt to block him. He just stands there, and he doesn't have to move out of Vicario's way. Do you know what I mean? We can't forget that. He doesn't have to get out of his way. My issue is what everyone said is the consistency. We've seen loads of them given already. I just want it to be, it's either a foul or it's not a foul. Do you know what I mean? And this is what
I think there's quite clearly a backwards motion from Diaz, very clearly.
I think there is before the ball's kicked. I genuinely don't think there was any kind of like impeding done other than just standing there when the ball was kicked. But again, like I say, it's up for debate because I've seen loads of people on Twitter, not just Spurs fans, neutrals, also saying it's a foul. So maybe I'm wrong, but just in my opinion, and what I put it down to is, if it was the other end, would we be sitting here now saying it was a foul? I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always
we go for goalkeeping. Yeah.
If it was the other way around, would I think that Van der Ven had fouled their keeper? I don't think I would. I'd be screaming, going, "This is a goal! Like, he's done nothing wrong." So it's disappointing that it came that way. But again, like H said, I think Vicario's got to be stronger. And like what you said, Luke, if he catches the ball and is then impeded, it's a foul. It's a simple because Vicario has done his job. He's caught the ball with two hands, and if Diaz then impedes him, it's a foul. But I just think his choice.
But you can easily shove Diaz to the side. You could shoulder barge Diaz. He's afraid to
or what you see, and you see it every week. As soon as that happens, I don't understand why. It could be anyone. It doesn't have to be one of the big centre backs. It could have been Kulusevski, for example. Let's just get in Diaz's way and just barge him out of the way.
Yeah. There's no one on that near post anyway. I said it before the call was taken. I was like, hang on a minute, there's no one on the near post. They just wandered away. So that was poor organisation.
You see it all the time. The striker or any player gets in the keeper's face, and naturally someone will then realise it's happening, come in between the two, and just keep him out of the keeper's way. And that didn't happen. So, and that wasn't just one incident. That happened. That probably happened every corner. So you would have thought that Spurs would have learnt their lesson from it, because there was a couple of times where Vicario was impeded more than that time, and he still managed to get a punch away. So it's just one of those things. It's disappointing. But if I'm honest, I don't think we deserved to get a replay. If I'm completely honest, because we were not good enough. We were not good enough, and City were far better than us. And you know, the Kevin De Bruyne chance, for example, that's bread and butter for him, and he put it wide of the post. Yeah. So we should have already been losing at that point. But it's disappointing. But for me, not a foul.
No, fair enough. Quickly, Winnie, what makes it any different from the Liverpool one? Jay said against City,
this is my issue. This is my issue.
Does it matter? Does it matter about writing letters to the FA?
It's consistency, because you say, but even I think that one was a foul because I feel like there was more done to the keeper. I genuinely do believe that Diaz just stood there. All of the action to impede Vicario was prior to the ball being kicked. But look,
exactly.
Consistency. That's all we want. It's either a foul or it's not a foul, and that's going to be the issue, because there'll be one next weekend. That will be identical to Vicario's, and they'll give it as a foul, and it'll be all over Tottenham Twitter going, well, what's going on here? So,
fair enough.
It's one of those.
I always have been on the side of things where it is you get as much as you're given.
If I'm honest,
you don't get.
I just want to say as well, I think goalkeepers get far too much protection. Far.
Tell you're a striker.
No, they do. I think they get far too much protection. But
yeah, fair enough. Right, let's move on. Noosa to Brentford. I want to go. I was in the gym earlier today, and Callum had put in a message. He'd said, Noosa's going to Brentford, and do you know what went into my mind? And I straight onto Twitter, and I went, "Cue the Spurs Twitter meltdown." Because I tell you what, and I don't know if it's the same with the two of you, right? But I love Twitter to some degree, and I hate Twitter another degree. Why are we like this, man? Like, what? I'll go into like other things in a minute, but why are we like this? That like the moment that this happens, oh, Daniel Levy hasn't done this. Oh, he screwed us again. Levy out. Why can't Spurs just pay the money for a player? Does anyone remember Gift Orban? Everyone wanted to pay £30 million for that kid.
I got told let's go outside the training ground, start the protest again.
It's just absolutely mental. And anyway, I just knew that people would lose their minds, and I just kind of want to get everybody's thoughts on the matter. Like we talked about it, Harry, last week, and we discussed, what this signing would be like for Spurs. And what did I say? I know nothing about him because I'm honest, right? I literally know nothing about him. Never seen him play, and apparently he barely ever plays for Club Brugge. But yet, we're annoyed that he's now not signing for Spurs. Like, if you want this project to go well and you want Spurs to start winning things, you need to buy players. Okay, you don't always have to go out and spend 100, 150 million pounds. You have to buy players that are going to impact your squad. Go into that City
which
game,
we've done.
Does Noosa come in and does he improve that team on Friday night? The answer is no. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't come in and improve it. What are your thoughts on Noosa going to Brentford? Kind of at the time of hearing it, and also like once you read a little bit more information.
My reaction was exactly the same from when I first heard it to exactly now. Okay, so what? We've done our business this window. I'm happy. For me, it's a 9 out of 10 window. I've expressed that. And that if we could get Noosa, it was, I guess, just a bonus. Never seen him play. Who has the time to watch Club Brugge? Come on.
I barely get time to watch Spurs, if I'm honest.
No, but I tried to research him, and then an old boxer called Antonio Noosa came up before him, which says everything you need to know. He's not known. He's going to Brentford. I talk to. I know lots of Brentford fans. They think they're in a relegation battle, and they're just glad that Tony has come back to keep them in it. Yeah, and as far I can gather, and fans need to understand this, he chose Brentford over Tottenham. And if I'm putting my Spurs bias to a side, some people find that hard. I don't. Then you'd absolutely choose Brentford because at Tottenham, you think when all the strikers are available, you're not guaranteed any minutes. He comes behind, he's going to be on the bench. He might not even make the bench. Because you think of a fully fit front three, for me anyway, it's debatable, but I think it would be Richarlison, Kulusevski, and you'd have Johnson and Werner as impact players on the bench. Who are you taking off that bench for Noosa? Do you risk no defensive midfielders? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Brentford, it does. Yeah, probably Brian Gill if he goes. But is it an upgrade on Brian Gill? I don't really know. We have to see how he goes for Brentford, and then I really judge them. But a lot of people like to chuck money at things. We've done that, and when we've done that, it hasn't worked. In Ndombele is a prime example of that. So we've done our business this window. 2 excellent signings that improve. Maybe not improve the team, but they offer more squad depth and pretty much cover. And Drogson just makes split sense for his career, his personal development. Werner, a player I never thought I'd see in the Spurs shirt for a lot of different reasons, so it's good to see him in the Spurs shirt. Massive overreaction. I mean, there was after the City defeat. And I got people telling me, and listen, these are people who I've worked with around content creation, etc., and just fans in general, going, what's all this hype about Anja? We're not in this. We're not in that. I was like, hang on a minute. Are you serious? Yeah, we've gone here without 3 of our best players, and we've just lost by 1 to Manchester City, right? We defended really well. So, yeah, we did lay a glove on them. It was disappointing. Doesn't mean I want to get rid of the manager, and just some people very quick to react. Done it. Southview Coys, I love that. I love Haz. I love being on with him. But he's like, if we lose our next couple of games, surely there's pressure on the manager. No, absolutely not. It's about the long term, and it's a massive. I think we're a reactionary fan base, along with Arsenal. Pains me to say it, but we're as bad as them.
Yeah, there is a lot of nonsense talk out there, and there's a lot of nonsense people.
More nonsense than good, though. I have to say.
But the one thing that you will always get, those that listen online and those that watch us now will always know that we'll try and be as honest and as truthful as we can, and not say things for clicks. Anyway, Winnie. Paul O'Keefe tweeted shortly after. Someone asked him about this, and I put it in another chat that we're in. And Paul O'Keefe basically said we had one meeting with Noosa's representatives, and that's it. Like all of this talk that you read online, and that's a very big thing, right? Don't believe everything you read because paper talk is paper talk for a reason. But do you have any thoughts on him, on this Noosa deal?
Look, I know nothing about him, and I think it's one of these deals that we do every now and then at Tottenham, and we explore the opportunity, and if it happens, It happens. If it doesn't, no worries. See you later. You know, all the best. I think he was one. I read somewhere that he was looking to be Son's successor. But I mean, look, I don't know anything about him. I've never watched him play, and all I did as soon as I saw his name, I went straight onto YouTube and looked at a compilation, which I do for all the signings. And I remember seeing a Vincent Janssen one and thinking he was the best striker we've ever signed. And look how that turned out. So
I remember watching a Clinton in G highlight compilation.
Yeah,
There aren't
exactly,
many of them out there.
But look, it didn't get done. And I think what it comes down to is there seems to be a little bit of a change in philosophy and the way we deal with signings. It appears now that if Ange really wants a player, it looks at the minute, it may change, but it looks at the minute as though we get the deal done. So if Ange was desperate for this guy, then I feel like we would have got it done. But look, he's going to get more game time at Brentford in the Championship probably. So good luck to him.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Love that. Let's move on and let's talk about Wednesday night's game against Brentford. It's a quick turnaround, straight into another game, and funnily enough, against these boys. I'm a bit annoyed actually because I put Ivan Toney straight into my fantasy football team before, like, as soon as I knew he was back, like the earliest opportunity I could, I put him in.
Yeah.
And then I realised he was playing Spurs. But what do you expect from this game? Surely it's a game where Spurs should bounce back, isn't it?
It's a game where you go, if you want to finish inside top 4, you have to get 3 points. So I kind of analyse. I'm going to bring it up. I'm not going to lie, I can't remember. I know roughly, but I don't want to get the order wrong. But I went for our next few games. It was like out of a possible 15 points. I worked out, you want top 4, we have to be achieving realistically at least 12. Let's bring it up here. So on our next few games, we've got Brentford at home, Everton away, Brighton at home, Wolves at home, Crystal Palace at home. Chelsea, it was there, but because they've obviously progressed the Carabao Cup final, that doesn't stand. So let's remove that. Let's focus on those 7. Let's focus on those 7 games, right? Brentford 3 points. Everton, let's say we get a point, right, and get 4 points in total with Everton on the season. I'm going to be honest, I think we'll get a point there. 3 points against Brighton, 3 against Wolves, 3 against Palace. You know, that's if we want to finish inside the top 4. We can't be losing any of those games. Then we should be winning the majority, if not all of them. So yeah, absolutely massive 3 points. We said about Tony with the FPL team. I'm still yet to see whether it's worked out or not, but I haven't put Tony in because I looked at it and thought, Nottingham Forest, okay, an easy game to come back to. I don't know what your fitness will be like, your match fitness. Turns out he scored against Forest. It's maybe a little bit of a mistake, yeah. But then I looked at it after, and what really made my decision is they had Tottenham, then Manchester City. I was like, no. You're waiting. I'll bring you in eventually because I want to get rid of Ollie Watkins because he doesn't perform for me. I'm going to be honest. I think Villa are going to go downhill second half of the season. I said that's coming from someone who said Villa are going to get inside the top 4. Villa are falling apart. Their away record's not going to see them through. So get him out of the team. But it's a game we have to win. I'm not going because sadly Dad's at work. I don't know if it'll be a good thing or not. And I'll probably be revising during the game, so switch off from it and find out after and see how we've done. Watch the highlights. But come on, Spurs. We need
Wynnie,
to back.
and Wynnie, do you think we'll go unchanged into this game? Do you think Maddison's still not ready to start?
No, Maddis comes straight back in, I think, now.
Yeah, he starts, yeah.
Yeah, he did, as H said, he didn't look comfortable. He definitely didn't look comfortable. And again, that will come with playing with confidence when he realises that he can ping a 40-yard ball and his foot's okay. I think once he gets that little bit of confidence back. So I think Maddis changes. Maddis comes in. Possibly, I wouldn't like to say who for, but I think Maddis just. Yeah, I would like to think so, but who knows? Like I said before, I'd like to see Kulusevski back out on the right, so maybe it's time to give poor Johnson a bit of a rest because he's getting a few pelters online as well. His performances have been a bit underwhelming, so maybe for me, Kulusevski out onto the right and then bring Maddis in for Johnson and put Maddis up back in Cam. Because he's the person that can make that little pass in behind for Richarlison or anyone else, maybe for Werner. Look, I think we're going to win. If I'm honest, I think we will have too much for Brentford. I'm a little bit concerned about Tony. Other than that, I don't really. I'm not really, and that's not being arrogant. I'm not really concerned by any of their players, and I think we should have enough to deal with them. And obviously, with Madders hopefully coming straight back into the starting lineup, I think we should go on and win. But we are Spurs, so anything could happen. But I do expect us to.
Yeah, I would say that there's two possibilities, right? It's that Maddison does start on the bench again. We go for an unchanged side, and he says, "Do you know what? I'll give you 45 minutes, or whatever it might be, right?"
Yeah.
And really try and introduce him back in kind of as slowly as he can to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Or what happens is that he says, "Do you know what?" And he being obviously Ange says, "Let's go for it. Like, this is a team that I know that we can." Put the hammer on and really kind of put our foot down. Højbjerg comes out, and Maddison comes straight back in, and we go with a middle three of Maddison, Bentancur, Kulusevski. We stay with Brennan Johnson on the right, and really try and get some goals. Jay has said Dragusin to start or come on. Again, I think it's going to be, unfortunately for him, a matter of waiting until there's injuries or a time for him to be able to slot in, because I think Romero and Van de Ven are our best two centre backs.
They're not just our two best centre backs. For me, they're probably the best, if not one of the best partnerships in the Premier League. I genuinely don't think you get better.
Tell you what, Willie, slightly twisting what you say, I think we have the best back four in the league and best fully fit midfield when they are fit. And being honest with you, I'm not still not personally sure about Romero. I look at him yesterday, just not for me. I look at him and go, I think personally slightly overrated. I prefer Van de Ven. Maybe it's just because of his recovery pace. But Romero's ability is you can't question it. He has ability. It's just whether your Champions League final, for me, you just don't start Romero because you want to finish the pitch with 11 men, and you don't know. There's no guarantee you do with Romero on the pitch. So who knows?
Fair enough. Right, let's get into it then. Let's go through our score predictions for the Brentford game. Give me 2 seconds. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it.
We should win. We should win, but something tells me we won't. Tony's going to score.
I've got my score. I know what I'm going for.
Right, Winnie, I'll come to you first. 2 seconds. Sorry, I've been trying to write all the games down whilst we've been talking to try and speed this up. Right, Winnie. Let's go. What's the score?
2-1 Tottenham.
2-1 Spurs win. I will go for 3-1 Spurs win.
You can go the same, H.
Yeah, you can go. You can go same.
I like to be different. We should win. Part of me, I think we will. I'm going to stick with 3-1, but that's only if we change a few things in the team. Because for me, you put Kulusevski on the right. I love Johnson, but I'd bring him on later, and you fully change that midfield pretty much.
Okay, let me just check 2 secs to see if anyone else. No one's stuck in any other score predictions in the chat, so we'll get Dave's and Callum's in the meantime. Let's see what people have put in the chat. 1-1.
Yeah, I stuck between a 1-1 and a 3-1. I think Tony will score for Brentford.
Jay's gone 3-1 Spurs. Quick question. What are your thoughts on, don't go into a quick tangent, but what are your thoughts on Ivan Toney really quickly? Do you think he is a player for Spurs? Because ever since I've seen him come back and seen a few interviews he's done, I'm not so sure anymore with that attitude of his. What do you think, H?
I used to like him, but I'm not sure. And I've had a lot of discussions again with people close around me who don't necessarily agree with me. But I think even entertaining the thought of leaving Brentford is just disrespectful, saying, I'm going to get my move. This is his words, right? Everyone knows I want the move either in January or in the summer. It will happen. I was like, hang on a minute, Brentford have stuck through you. They could very easily gone, do you know what? You were in the wrong here, which you are, whether it's his fault or not. And rip up his contract. They stuck with him, which is brave, and it's a lot of high wages, the highest at the club. They stuck with him, and for me, just even entertaining. I know he gets asked a question. For me, if I'm Tony, I just go, I'm not even going to talk about this right now. I'm happy at Brentford. I'm thankful for sticking with me. We have these discussions in the summer, even something like that. But just even talk about it in January and even say that if the money's right, that he'll go in January. And then start talking about Arsenal and Liverpool, blabbling on, and it wasn't even the question. So, yeah, very disrespectful individual. Wrong attitude for Tottenham. Will fall out with Postecoglou immediately. No.
Quickly, Winnie?
Yeah, I mean, nice and quickly. Yeah, I think no, he's not. He's got a bad attitude, and people like that don't last long at Spurs. even more so with Postecoglou. And I think Spurs don't, he's got that much controversy around him with all the allegations. Well, they're not even allegations; they're real. So all of that stuff, Tottenham don't tend to touch players like that. They just kind of steer clear.
Rightly so, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Right, let's move on then. 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. We've got to go to Goodison Park. It's a tough week in the sense of, Friday night, Wednesday night, Saturday games. We could be sitting here next weekend talking about 6 points on the board. I'm talking about a title charge. Is that a possibility, Winnie?
I don't know. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Obviously,
are we in a title race?
You what? Sorry.
Are we in a title race?
I wouldn't say we're in a title race, no. But I would say we're definitely.
We are.
Well, again, everything's up for debate, isn't it? I wouldn't say.
West Ham are mathematically Man United, Newcastle.
I would say we're in a race for the top 4, and that is still well above our expectations. So we should be grateful for that. Maybe in a year or so, if Angie's hopefully still there, maybe we could be talking about a title charge. But for me, not this season currently. But again, if we have this conversation now that we're having next week with 6 points on the board, things could look different. But currently, we've still got 2 games to play until we next speak. So not in a title charge. But the Everton game for me, it's a bit of a weird one. It's a hostile atmosphere, and I don't know. I'll spare my judgment until I see how we perform against Brentford. Really, but
people want to hear it. They won't get a chance to hear it. Tell them.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say is it's a difficult place to go. It's an early.
Revenge. Yeah, 12:30. They want revenge.
Yeah, obviously they'll want revenge. 12:30 kickoff. I hate those kickoffs. Absolutely hate them.
Never back
ruins the whole weekend.
Yeah, exactly. It ruins your weekend.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a very, very difficult game, but it's definitely a place we can go and win if we apply ourselves correctly.
Correct.
Okay. And H, what are your thoughts on this? Because we had a tough time against Everton at home, but I think we're a much better side than Everton are. They just got beaten in the cup by Luton. They were dreadful against them, from what I saw from the highlights on Match of the Day. Should be a team that we're beating, shouldn't it?
It should be. Listen, if we want, I'm not even going to entertain the title race, right? I did earlier on in the season, right? I'm not going to lie. Not believing we could ever do it. There's a small possibility. Of course, in the moment you believe. You go and beat Liverpool, you believe. But 8 points off Liverpool, right? And Klopp leaving, will it have a good or bad effect? We have to see. Yeah, it had a good effect today, but it was an easy opposition, being honest with you. But they've got Alexander-Arnold back now. They've got Robertson. They've got Salah yet to come back, and they're 8 points clear of us. Manchester City got Haaland to come back here. Them two for me, you can't. They're untouchable. Being honest, you sitting here right now, I think our race is for top 4 as when he says. I honestly, if you said to me, Harry, do you think you can finish? Do you think we can finish third? Yes, because I think Aston Villa will fall away. I think it'll be a battle between us, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and Chelsea for that third place down to about 5th or 6th. It'll be a huge battle. It'll be really close. But we go on the last. I think we'll be sitting here with 2 games to go on this podcast. Going, we could finish 5th, or we could finish, could be 3rd, 4th, 5th. We just don't know. So I think it'd be really tight down to the end. This is a game we have to be winning. I won't give my prediction yet, but I think we're getting 4 points from our next 2 games. But if we're serious, we get 6.
Yeah, fair enough. No. Look,
just giving it away. Actually, thinking about it, was didn't even think about it. I'll be smart. I won't give it away, idiot.
No, it's all right, mate. We're going to get there anyway. We're going to get to the point where we talk about the scores, but I just think that we've got to have too much for this Everton team. I think. Can you
just bring up that comment? No, I listen. I didn't forget West Ham, right? All due respect, you're finishing about 6th, 7th, right? And you're not quite in the race. You'll finish about 9 points behind us. Not in the race.
To be fair, if West Ham finish 7th, they are massive, and I'll tell them that.
They're not.
Whoever needs to hear it.
They're not massive.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a team that we should be beating. They are. Really, I'd be shocked if Everton stay out this season. If they get another 10-point deduction this season for another breach in financial fair play, then I don't really see how they survive it. They've rallied around, I should say, not rattled around, and come out of that 10-point deduction really well, and they've pushed on, but they've hit another blip again. Calvert-Lewin just still doesn't feel like he's a really odd one, isn't he? He's got unbelievable ability, and at one point was someone that I wanted or have thought could come in and play either alongside Harry Kane or even if he left one day, could play instead. But it's not anyone I would have within a million miles of Spurs now. His legs are made of bloody chocolate, aren't they? And it's fucking hot out there, and they're melting, man. But anyway, look, I'm just going straight in, boys. I don't care. 2-0 Spurs. Wynnie,
Okay.
Talk to me.
I am going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Oh God, what happened to you?
I've just predicted us to beat Brentford, so 4 points out of them 2 games, I would be okay with.
Even more boring.
Oh God, right, go on then. 0-0.
0-0 draw. No goals.
0-0 draw. Whoa.
Very frustrating. We can't break down Everton's low block. If you think about it, it makes sense. The way they're playing, it'd be a really horrible game. Thank God we haven't got.
Give everyone 30 seconds in the chat to get to get that in. Then we'll just wrap up everyone. So quickly get your predictions in, and I'll read them out. Harry, while we're doing that, let everyone know how they can find you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Luke. You can find me, HarryScarf22, if you want to follow me. Most importantly, go check out my channel, Scarfy Spurs. On the road to 2K, recently reached 1,500. Big push that we got there. So before we kicked the ball this weekend, that was the aim. So thank you very much. So yeah, go check it out. I'm now on Tottenham away at 8 o'clock, battling still. Well, we went backwards and forwards about 6-8 months about Daniel Levy, etc. And we spent a lot of time on it. A lot of people said, why don't you just debate it out? And I'm not like others. I'm not afraid to do it. So if you want to go check it out, 8 p.m. It's going to be heated. It's fair to say, there's a lot of talking points. So
stick around here for 5 more minutes, and then we'll send you over to go and support Harry.
Yeah, not just yet. Don't follow me just yet.
Cheers,
Thank you very much.
See you next week.
Nice to have you back as well, Wynnie.
Good night. Nice to see you.
Right. Let's finish this up then with some score predictions. So Thomas went for a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Barney's gone for another draw, 1-1. Will be a tough game, 2-1 either way.
Yeah.
Kargweng has said 1-0 Spurs, Maddison assist. Oh, he's gone for an assist.
I love it. Normally people say to score, but he's just
gone. Yeah, don't go for your first scorer. Go for your first assister. That's the real trick, isn't it? But no, there's some great score predictions in there, and we will keep doing our score prediction tally. We're not going to do a star player this week because we've got 2 games, and we'd have to do star players in each game, and I'd have to do many tables, and I can't be bothered. So we'll miss that one out this week. But we will talk about our score predictions and our star players for the City game, as we do every week. What happened this week is I went for a 3-1 Spurs win, optimistic. Wynnie went for a 2-2 draw. Dave went for a 3-1 City win. Callum went for a 2-1 City win. Harry went for a 2-1 Spurs win. That means that Dave and Callum both get 1 point. Me and Wynnie don't care about that because we're still sitting pretty at the top of the table.
Oh, mate, I'm only 2 points behind you. That's quite good, I thought.
And Dave has come up to 15th, so he's gone 1 ahead of Harry. And Callum has gone 1 towards Harry with 12. So
it's a 2-horse race, mate. It's a 2-horse race. That's what it is.
Been a 2-horse race since the first week of the season, isn't it?
It has.
But, it could be interesting this week because you've gone for a draw in the second game. I've gone for 2 Spurs wins.
I know.
We will jump on to the star player. So I thought star player would have been Timo Werner. Wynnie went for Kevin De Bruyne. Dave went for Phil Foden. Callum went for Kevin De Bruyne as well, and Harry went for Brennan Johnson. So none of us really got anything with our star players this week.
Who was the star player?
Who do you think played well? It's hard to know, isn't it? Let's be honest. They gave man of the match to Nathan Ake, to be fair, because he was the only one that scored. Like, I don't know, someone in City's defence, maybe. Like, it wasn't really anyone that played outstanding, I don't think.
No. To be fair, it's probably a difficult one for them. That's probably the reason why.
Van der Ven, he played all right.
Van der Ven, yeah, possibly. Yeah, Van der Ven, he had a great game, to be fair to him. And I think he's come back from his injury fantastically and looks to be like he did beforehand. The speed, the last-ditch tackles. The only problem, he just looks, because his legs are so long, every time he goes in for a tackle, I feel like he's going to hurt himself because he ends up...
me too.
He ends up curling up into a little ball like that and rolling around. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is he okay? And then he just gets up and carries on. So
he's like half a second away from a hamstring injury every time I see him. And
it's terrifying, but what a player. So, yeah, he was probably, for me, if I was going to be honest, he was probably the best player on the pitch. But they probably had to give it to Ake because he scored.
Yeah, fair enough. So we will go back with our score predictions, and we'll be back next week with our FPL chat as well. We obviously didn't talk FPL because there was no Premier League this week, so there's no point talking about FPL. The scores are still the same. Me and Winnie still battling it out mid-table. Dave's still rocking at the top of the league, and Callum's still, terribly at the bottom somewhere, but probably going to be overtaken by Thomas. And Thomas started about 5 weeks late. So if you are new, obviously make sure you're subscribing and all the rest of it. Make sure you're also going into our FPL group as well. We like to see everyone involved, regardless of how good or bad you are. But Winnie, my friend, it was amazing to hang out with you this week. We had a little beer on Monday night, which was wonderful. And we got a little visitor as well. And it's been good to have you back on. First show of the year. How was everything? All good, mate? How can everyone find you?
Yeah, Winnie1991 on Twitter. I think someone mentioned in there previously. Where's the Monday controversial tweets gone? I don't have power on Park Lane Pod Twitter anymore. My power has been relinquished. I for whatever reason, I was a little bit naughty, so we relinquished my power. But you know what? Maybe Luke will trust me again one day, and I can get the Monday controversial tweets back. But yeah, so Winnie91 on Twitter, and obviously, just if you're not subscribed, just subscribe. It means nothing to you, maybe, but to us, it means a hell of a lot. But thank you to obviously the regulars as well that are always here commenting and are still commenting now. So, we really, really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely love that as well. Like, as you say, it means absolutely nothing to you to subscribe. It's very easy to click a subscribe button, but I look at it every day. Every time somebody subscribes to this channel, like it, we do. And I've got a little kind of like special thing for all the hosts that have been on this season. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, so let's push us to get there, and then everyone can have a little special gift, and we can all have a good time. But anyway, we'll be back on next week. We've got 2 games to talk about, so we'll try and rush through it next week. Might be a little bit longer show. Make sure you tell your friends, make sure you tell your mothers, make sure you tell your brothers, and make sure you tell your grands to tune in to Park Lane Podcast every Sunday night, 7 p.m. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're listening on any podcast platform, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. And we'll see you next week. But as we always say on this show, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.